most of you have probably finished Ozark season 4 part 2. If you have not, spoilers ahead. I'm not going to recap all of season 4 for you, but I'm going to give some quick thoughts on how the ending should have gone, or what I thought of the ending. And then in another video, I'm going to talk about Wendy Bird. This video is probably not going to be that good. Like, it's just gonna be like purging my thoughts out. With that being said, Ozark season 4 part 2. I don't think season 4 part 2 could have opened up in a better way. Like, it opened up perfectly. I'm so happy that it opened up in the way that it did. And it's sadly hilarious how they forgot about Zeke. Like, Zeke is not mentioned again. We do not see Zeke ever again. I don't know if the writers intentionally wanted to abandon this storyline, or if this is like a symbolic thing of how Wendy abandoned Zeke back in, I think, season 2 or 3. This was supposed to parallel Omar Navarro has two children, and then the baby, and then Wendy Bird and Marty Bird have two children, and then they were going to use Zeke as like kind of another child, right? But then Wendy just abandons this child. Wendy is like, nah, never mind, don't want you anymore. And in fact, we really see her personality showing there. And at that point, it's not the writers, it's Wendy here. But then later throughout the show, you can kind of argue that the writers kind of forgot about Zeke existing. So I'm not sure if this is the writers just forgetting about Zeke, or if this is like a continuation of Wendy not giving a fuck and Ruth not giving a fuck. So back to the car scene, we see all of Ruth's emotions. Like, she literally had to stop driving, and again, we see Zeke is just chilling there. We don't actually see Zeke. I think we see like one shot of Zeke just chilling, but Ruth literally had to stop, and we see like this moment in her would be like, hey, should I continue driving or not? Like, should I just like chill or not? So then we see this progression of Ruth just trying to contemplate what is she gonna do, and then we hear the music, and people have already talked about the symbolism and the importance of the music she listens to throughout the series, and in these two spots in particularly. And I just want to say, I actually listen to these songs. Like, I think they're great songs. Also, the dropout, at the point Ruth unalives Javi, like, that had to happen because Javi unalives Darlene, and then Javi unalives Wyatt. Poor Wyatt. Poor Wyatt. But in fairness, that had to happen for season 4 part 2 to happen. For anything to happen that wouldn't have been repetitive. Quite a few videos, a lot of articles of people saying season 4 part 2 is terrible, it was trash, it was bad. And I'm gonna assume there are reasons revolving around like Wyatt being killed off, and I'm assuming it was a reason because of her being killed off, Ruth being killed off, and just it was repetitive. I know one reason was too many characters were being introduced was a criticism, and I'm gonna talk about that later. But in my opinion, which if anyone is watching this, because I know this is super late, again, I just wanted to purge my feelings out. I needed my thoughts to be gone. I needed to cleanse my mind of this show. I love this show, but I needed new thoughts to be in my brain, okay? I think the finale was good. Could it have been better? Yes, but I think it makes sense. I think the show makes sense. I think the ending makes sense for the show, and I think what they're trying to do was, I think they were trying to give the series a different ending than what's already been done, which is like an obvious answer, duh. But like Breaking Bad had a very original ending, I feel like, and they're trying to, I feel like every show that has like a drug cartel plot has been trying to just give themselves a different ending than Breaking Bad. So if they can be like, hey, we are not Breaking Bad. We might have like the similar plot as Breaking Bad, but we are not the same as Breaking Bad, trying to break that barrier. At least that's how I interpret that. Maybe not, but that's my interpretation. Every single show that's post Breaking Bad is going to be compared to Breaking Bad, and Ozark is literally the predecessor of Breaking Bad. So if they're trying to be like, we are not Breaking Bad. And I think the ending was very poetic. It gives Jonah his own ending. You have to go all the way back to season 1 of his first time he held a gun, and when he was with Buddy, when Buddy was like, don't shoot the gun, and he had to get permission from his mom. And then when he shot out all the windows in season 2 or 3, you know, I think I like that ending. And then it also very ominous and very daring with like people's interpretation of like, is he are the parents smiling or are they not smiling? And then you can go into Wendy Bird and be like, is she manipulating her whole family? Has she flipped her whole family into being criminals? Or look at Marty and be like, look at the progression of how his family had a moderately good life in Chicago, and now they're all criminals, now they're all bad people, and like both parents just turned both their children into criminals. And then if you want to compare it to Breaking Bad, Walter never wanted his children to know what he was doing. Walter never wanted his children to know like what was happening. He just wanted his wife Skylar to be dumb and just unaware of everything. Same with his kid. When I think it was in the finale or close to the finale for Breaking Bad with that fight, you know, and then that they had, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. And then here is in Ozark, the kids are just totally on board with it. They're just like, okay, like they're on board with it. And when Jonah was like, yeah, I'm not gonna do criminal activity for a little bit, but he's okay with doing criminal things. In Breaking Bad, the kid would never do that. Skylar would never be okay with doing that. I'm kind of just going all over the place, but I do think that Wyatt being unalived did progress season 4 storyline. I think it made it interesting. I was really, really sad that he had to be unalived, but it made it more interesting, and I gave Ruth a really beautiful arc with the Langmore curse and her whole progression throughout the story, and her even being like sadly unalived at the end. I sadly knew, like, if you know anything about film or just like the bare bones of it, if you like are into horror movies or such, like wearing white, the whole innocence thing, and just like her in that last shot was just so beautifully well done. In the end, in the Farewell to Ozark episode, they talked about it a little bit, and it was just a tricky choice for all the writers, you know, they're like, we knew it had to be done, and I was like, yeah, I guess. And the conversation between her and Camilla was still very, like, Langmore, it was still, like, within Ruth, like, that was very Ruth of her, you know, she stuck to her character the entire time, it wasn't very, like, wishy-washy, it wasn't very watered down, she was Ruth until the very, very end. And I also thought it was very cool that Camilla, if you watched Queen of the South or saw like an article about it, Camilla's from Queen of the South, and she got what she wanted. Queen of the South is a Netflix show. It ran for 1 season, and Camilla was like one of the main characters, and so she got what she wanted in a different timeline, in the Ozark timeline. So that's pretty cool. Like, clarify, Queen of the South is like another cartel drug show. The end scene makes sense to me. It seems like kind of not like, it's not realistic, but the whole point of the show, like after season 1, is so that like Wendy and Marty are trying to get out of the drug world, right? And like that's like always the thing, we're always trying to get out of a drug world. Like Breaking Bad, he's trying to get out of a drug world. Any cartel show, we're trying to get out of a drug world, right? Well, that's like, there's always going to be someone new, and that's why they're introducing new characters all the time, because like things change constantly and like rapidly and all that kind of thing, right? And like they're probably not going to get out of it. Like that's just not like reality. There's not like a happy ending for them, and like they kind of know that. I feel like they know that in their hearts. They know that. I think the writers didn't want to give them like this happy ending. This show's not a happy show. The cinematography is not like giving you this happy thing. Like if you look at the show, it's a dark show, the lighting's dark, they're dark, like they don't ever look happy. Even like when they're smiling, they don't look happy. Like they never look happy. The only time they look happy is when Jason Bateman's looking at the trampoline. That's like the only time they look happy. Even like when like Jason or like Wendy and Marty are like, I love you, like they just don't look happy. They're not like happy. It's not a happy marriage. Like they'll randomly just say I love you to each other, and like that's just so interesting to me. Like the way their marriage operates is just so complex and interesting to me. They both say I love you to each other in the most like hard worse circumstances, you know, because it's like they're about to die or something, and they're like, I love you. I think it's also interesting because like now the family's like united, like this, like the last part 2, but also part 1, but I think part 2 focused more on it, was the family trying to be united. Like you had the trial, you had the kids trying to like work out each other's issues in a way. Charlotte's trying to like talk to Marty about like real issues, like real things about like Wendy and like stuff like that, right? And by the end of part 2, the family's united. They might be united in a really, really messed up way, but they're united. They have a mutual understanding, and that mutual understanding is, 1, they are all officially criminals. They have all understanding. 2, the kids, at least maybe they've understood this before, but at least I think they like get it. They really get it that their parents are powerful. Their parents hold some weight. Their parents have power, like real power. They see it, they get it, they can do things with it. They're now going to help protect their parents, and that's what Jonah did. I don't know, I'm just gonna say some random things, because like, whatever. Jonah's so infuriating, like, at least throughout half the season, like, whenever Charlotte's having her, like, rebellious stage, she's still fine, like, she's still tolerable to watch, like, I still like her interactions with the parents, she's still fine to watch. Whenever Jonah speaks, he's still annoying, like, everything he does is, like, harmful to the families, and just annoying. He progresses the story, yes, but he's just annoying, not the actor, no, like, he's fine, but, like, the dialogue is just annoying. What he does is annoying, and like the interaction specifically like to Wendy is like annoying. I don't like it, and it's not because I like Wendy, like, because I do like Wendy, because I like her because I think she's an interesting character, and I think she was written well. I don't care what anyone says, I think she was written well. I think Jonah's annoying. I think that the point of like the ending, at least to like I don't really know, but like I kind of feel like it's like they're now the rich, like they've made it to the top. Like Wendy was in her like career wise was always trying to be this politician. She worked her way up. She worked on the Obama campaign, and now she is the politician. Marty was like a financial person or whatever, and he's proved that now he's at the top of the financial thing, at least, and not like the cartel type of thing, right? And now they both prey on these working class people. I know that a lot of people don't like the ending. It's very like, I think the overall consensus is that season 4 was bad. I think if you go on IMDb, it's like pretty bad. But hi, this is me in the present. At the time I recorded that video, the general consensus was that most people did not like season 4. Many video essays said they didn't like season 4. A lot of articles that were published said that they didn't like season 4. I also was not in favor of season 4. There are many things about season 4 that I liked, but season 4 was not my favorite season. So I do stand by a lot of my opinions that I talked about in this video. The reason why this video is coming out so late is because I don't like editing YouTube videos. A lot of the edits that I post are fan edits, but YouTube edits just aren't my thing. So this video does turn into like a podcast style just because it's easier and it's faster. So if you're listening to this video, I really do appreciate you. Congrats to Ozark for all the Emmy nominations. I think like not defending it, but I'm saying like most finales don't get a good ending for shows like this. Like most shows don't. I was reading the comments of one video, and they're saying how like the show Ozark should have killed off the birds. Many people said that. And they should have had like even Breaking Bad in it, and like Knox may or may not spoil Breaking Bad for you. So if you have not seen Breaking Bad, I'm gonna talk about Breaking Bad like a little bit more in depth, okay? So just skip like a minute maybe. So in Breaking Bad, the final scene of Breaking Bad, okay, again, spoiling Breaking Bad. So the final scene of Breaking Bad is Walter White is on the ground. And like, I haven't seen Breaking Bad in a hot minute, so this could be a little bit inaccurate. But the final scene of Breaking Bad is Walter White's on the ground, right? White, and he's like, he's in the lab, and it's very poetic, right? And it's insinuated that he's gonna bleed out, right? And and people, I guess, want a similar-ish scene in Ozark, because it's insinuated. But people are maybe upset that it wasn't just flat out be like, yo, he died, he unalive, he bye-bye. But I guess I don't think that would make, I mean, some people think that would make sense for Ozark. I don't think that would make sense for Ozark if, like, the whole entire Bird family were to be wiped out. I think maybe if, like, one of them, if you were to pick one person in Ozark to be like, bye. I'm not saying you should say bye to the kids. I'm not saying that at all. Between Marty and Wendy, and like let's say bye to Nathan. Nathan should just Wendy should have said bye to Nathan. Just saying, but as realistic as a show can be in the context that Ozark is, because, like, you have to keep in mind that we aren't these people, we aren't these characters, we will never be put in this, or hopefully we will never be put in these situations where, like, we have to choose between reinstating a cop and having to put someone on, like, the INS or whatever list that was to do whatever they were doing, right? Hopefully we will never be put in these positions, but, like, we don't have these choices, similar to, like, when people are talking about, like, cases or, like law cases or whatever, right? Like, and like talking like TikToks and stuff like that. Like, we're not playing detective. We aren't these people. We are not doing these things. We aren't you know what I mean? Like, we aren't these people. We are not the ones on trial. These things don't actually affect us. So, like, when we're making memes about things, we aren't the ones that these things are hurting. So in the context of Ozark, I think the ending makes sense for these two individual characters. I think it makes sense for these characters to be on top and to not be harmed, to not be unalived, because they made it to the top, because their whole goal is to not be harmed. Their whole goal is to live unscathed. And I think that's, like, their reward was to not be, or not be like, you know, they're, like, Marty, for a couple episodes, he was living like Omar Navarro. He was like, he went to Mexico. He was living, like, in his house or whatever. He was playing with his dog. He had to make decisions like him. And Wendy was playing real politician. She was living like her little weird dream, you know, of playing politician. So that's, like, their little fantasy, right? It's not like the writers were letting them play happy ever after, because, like, maybe they still are going to be in the cartel. Like, yes, that's a question that's going to be left unanswered, but because the whole, I guess, goal is to, like, and I really am not trying to over defend this show, because I don't think this show had, like, this show still has a lot of unanswered questions, but I would have preferred this ending over, like, say, the writers being like, hey, we're just gonna kill the Bergs off. I prefer this ending over that. I do think, now I'm gonna take this back, I do wish they would have perhaps written Ruth's death a little bit differently, just a little bit differently. But I do like a cinematography-wise, I like it. Like, order-wise, I like it. Dialogue-wise, I like it. I don't know what I'm missing. I just know I'm missing something. Because I was shocked a little bit. I was sad. But I also, like, kind of knew it was coming, I feel like. But I don't know what I'm missing. That's me asking for too much. I don't know. Okay, the car crash. So a video essay person, Bryce Edward Brown, did a really good video essay, like portioning or whatever, on how the car crash makes sense, and like, or what, like, why it was important. So watch that if you haven't. I'm pretty sure, like, if you actually care about Ozark, you probably saw that video. If you haven't, go watch that, because I really liked his explanation on that. I thought it was really cool, really good. Now, I don't think the car crash was, like, something that, like, unnecessary. I don't think it was unnecessary. But I do think it would have been more impactful if, like, someone got injured or something. Or I think it would have been more impactful if, like, it wasn't the thing that was in the finale. But if it was something, like, if it was, like, the first, like, episode 1 in part 2. Because, yes, it was, like, the unifying thing for the finale that led the finale, because that's the thing that started the unification of the family. That's what brought the family together. And so I think that's like what led in Jonah wanting to take charge and help, and like what letting the family being closer and what's going to lead the family and being closer moving forward, and like and whenever you watch a finale, you're always kind of just like, oh, I wish there was a few more minutes left. Yes, I do wish that for this finale too, but I'm also like satisfied almost with the finale, like in a weird, twisted way. I'm like, I'm okay with this in a weird way. Like I'm okay because I really did not like that guy. I really did not like the PI. I'm like, okay, like you're gone. I'm okay with this, like in a weird way. But like I also hope that I'm coming back to the car somehow. I don't know how I'm coming back to it, but I'm coming back to the car. I promise. Like I feel like Ozark closed off so many options for a spin-off, for a movie. Like I feel like they don't want, like, unless if like because I read articles the day the finale came out, or like whenever I finished Ozark, the day I finished Ozark, I read articles asking if they were gonna have movie releases, or if they were gonna have like El Camino, or if they were gonna have like spin-offs, and everyone said no. So I feel like they closed off, unless if there's something new that I'm missing, I feel like they closed off projects. And I'm really sad about that. Because at least with Breaking Bad, they had a movie. And I don't know if that was something that they were planning to do from the bat, but if you think about it, I don't even know how they would do like a movie or a spin-off, like how that would even make sense. The only thing that they could do would be like, how everyone's always just like, oh, Charlotte and Jonah, or like mini Wendy and mini Marty. That would be like the spin-off, but like would that even be like a good spin-off? Or you could do like a continuation, but most spin-offs aren't the main characters again, Marty and Wendy. And I don't think they would do that. I really don't think Laura Linney and Jason Bateman would do that. They might do like another episode, or they might do an episode because like for El Camino, Bryan Cranston wasn't in that, and for Better Call Saul, Bryan Cranston isn't in that. I'm not saying like you need Laura Linney and Bryan Cranston, or Laura Linney and Jason Bateman to be in the next project, but it would be really great for them, because I feel like the next project, like they closed off, like Ruth can't be, and not unless we do like a prequel. Like you could have, I saw one person say like you could do like a Langmore project, and that would be pretty cool. That would be like the best option that they could do. Or you could do something with the snail. I don't know how you say their name, but Darlene. I think Darlene's a badass. Like I think that would be funny if you had like a younger Darlene. That would be so cool. Or and I didn't see this in the thing, but I also think if you had like a younger Wendy Bird, I think that would be pretty cool, because I don't think a younger Marty isn't that interesting to me, and they don't really talk about his childhood too much. But and they didn't just start talking about Wendy's childhood in season 4. I know some people say like that's when they started talking about it. No, they started talking about her childhood pretty early on. She starts opening up like I think in season 2, maybe even season 1, when she starts talking about like she would just randomly go into houses, rich people's houses, and start moving the furniture. Like Bex, like she starts opening up pretty early on. Okay, so back to the car. I kind of think it's like an elongated metaphor, but maybe that makes no sense. But like like Wendy says that like it's a sign of saying like we're gonna get through this, or whatever, like whatever she says. Maybe I'll insert it, whatever. But I think it's also like the writers kind of like it's a nod to like what the writers are trying to say, like further and their point to like nothing bad happens to the rich, and or it's signifying that the Bergs now have power, that the Bergs are untouchable. Good. I like part 1 better than part 2. I did enjoy part 2, like I really did. I am a fan of Ozark. I really do love Ozark. I love the main actors in it. I love Laura Linney. I love Jason Bateman. I love both of them. I love Julia Gardner. I think everyone, like I love everyone in this show. I think it's one of Netflix's better shows. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.